An armed robbery incident in the Katampe district of the federal capital city has claimed the life of Arise news anchor, correspondent and producer Sommie Maduagwu. The incident at the unique apartment Abuja, developed by Amazing Grace Real Estate Ventures, reportedly took place around 3 a.m. on Monday. Residents say the robbers, numbering more than 15, attacked the 16 apartments in the compound. The security personnel at the apartment building say they alerted the police but got no response. Sommie and an injured security guard were rushed to the Maitama District Hospital, where they died. Relatives say they died because they did not get needed attention promptly, as hospital staff refused treatment until their identification documents were produced. In a statement, the management of Arise News commiserated with Sommie's family and demanded for the thorough investigation, apprehension and prosecution of the culprits.
Meanwhile, the Commissioner of Police, Federal Capital Territory Command, CP Ajao Adewale, has extended his condolences to the family, friends and colleagues of Ms. Sommie Christelle Maduagwu, a news anchor, reporter and producer with Arise News Channel, who tragically lost her life during an armed robbery incident at her residence in the Katampe area of Abuja in the early hours of Monday, September 29, 2025, describing the incident as a cruel and senseless act that has no place in the sane society. The Commissioner of Police assured that the command remains fully committed to ensuring that justice is served. To this end, he has ordered a discreet and comprehensive investigation into the circumstances surrounding the incident. He further directed the deployment of intelligence and operational assets to identify, track, and apprehend those responsible for this heinous crime.
Well, before her broadcasting career, 29-year-old Sommie Maduagwu, a lawyer, was a face in the pageant industry. Arise correspondent Ferdinand Droa put together this report.
Hello to our viewers in the US and around the world. I am Sommie Maduagwu, coming to you from Nigeria's capital, Abuja.
Delectable, intelligent and bold are adjectives which hardly qualifies Sommie Christelle Maduagwu's persona. The 29-year-old barrister first graced Arise News screen as a guest when she participated and won the Miss Tourism Nigeria pageant. Sommie went on to represent Nigeria at the Miss Tourism World pageant in Guangzhou, China in 2023. In September 2024, she joined the Arise News team, where she has made her voice count as a news anchor, news producer and a reporter.
Trump announced on Saturday that India and Pakistan have agreed to a full and immediate ceasefire.
Through a blend of her legal dexterity and her reportorial vigor, Sommie advocated for out-of-school children and campaigned energetically against sexual and gender-based violence. One of her most recent coverages was the submission of memorandum for reserved seats for women's bill, held on the 21st of September. There, Sommie, alongside millions of other Nigerian women, advocated for a stronger representation for Nigerian women at the National Assembly. Sommie's voice is now silent, but her spirit, passion and legacy will endure as part of our collective memory.
Are properly educated and that there are less children out of school in Nigeria. From the presidential villa, Sommie Maduagwu, Arise News.
The tragic death of Sommie Maduagwu caused great grief and gloom at the Arise News channel, where she closed from work on Sunday night before retiring to her residence.
It's a sad reflection of the state of insecurity in the country, and another sad reflection of the state of our healthcare facilities. Because if we had prompt response, we wouldn't be talking about the story we're talking about today. I think the best that could happen is that the culprits are apprehended and brought to justice.
Wow, I mean, what can I say? The most shocking news ever. We love to hear at Arise And I'm sure your family loved you. Just have that in your heart wherever you are. That's all I feel like telling you, that you were loved. You were quiet, easygoing. I always admired you. You know, your smartness, the way you would walk. Sommie, you were loved. I loved you. God bless you. Rest your soul.
Sommie was a very private person. I had a couple of discussions with her. One thing about her that I knew was she was, we'll talk about church and how she renewed her vows to start going back to church some couple of months ago. Outside of the office, Sommie had kids that she was taking care of somewhere in Oshafa. Yeah, she was a very private person, but deep down, she had this love for humanity that I really wish that she had time to express.
Sommie, I miss you so much. And I'll just take comfort in our last conversation and all the plans that you had for your life. You're so beautiful, inside and outside, and even in death, you were still so beautiful. I love you so much.
Sommie was my anchor for Arise America while I produced it. Just 2 Saturdays ago, I finished producing the bulletin, and she came in her confident, happy self, and she aced it. She read the news. I mean, even asking, "Oh, do we have a guest?" And all of that. But we didn't have a guest, but she slayed it. The entire 1-hour bulletin. We're really going to miss her. I mean, I remember her giving me a lift from work some months ago. Sommie was just such a shining light. It's sad to hear of her passing. It's so sad. I mean, she was such a shining light.
Sommie loved to wear pink. She would often remind me of Reese Witherspoon in Legally Blonde because she was a lawyer and pink was her favorite color. But aside from that, Sommie loved young girls, and one of her greatest goals in life was to empower as many young girls around the world as she could. Which is one of the reasons why she was a pageant girl. She was a very, very successful. She was very successful in the world of pageantry. And she was using her platform to empower other young girls fighting for their rights and their voices to be heard. And I met her in Abuja, and I loved her very much. She was a very sweet girl.
Well, a beautiful tribute there put together by our team. I know it can never compensate for the absence that we will have to now endure, especially those who worked closely with her here on this Daybreak team and, across all departments. The tributes poured in from absolutely every single department of this organization, just to show you what an impact she made. For me, when I spoke to one of her close friends yesterday, what struck me was the fact that this is a young, bright star who chose to relocate from the United Kingdom to give a chance to her country, Nigeria. She was a patriot. She loved Nigeria. She wanted to work in Nigeria. She wanted to thrive and flourish in Nigeria. So it breaks my heart that our young ones love their country. They want to come home. And then they are met with these kind of tragic circumstances. And this should be an appeal to all of our leaders to come together, to put politics aside, to put ethnicity aside, to put all corruption, love of money and power aside, and to come together to work for the good of this nation. When we come on these platforms every morning, it's not because we have any animosity towards any individual, but it's because we love this country, we're invested in this country, and we want this country to work. And we want all those who come home to this country from wherever in the world they converge to be able to thrive and flourish. I hand over to you, Benga and Yolanda.
Actually, it's tragic and I'm short of words, very tragic and untimely death of a brilliant reporter. She joined Arise sometimes last year with a strong sense of purpose. And this reminds me once again of the words of Horatius Bonar in 1857. He saw passing through the window the diamond of Venus fading away, a final brilliance of life that would throughout all eternity never repeat itself again. Somtochukwu Maduagwu was such a personality that accepted every responsibility. The fact that our favorite color was pink shows the softness of her heart. Yeah. And everyone could testify that her passion was to empower women, young women. And we know that this is, she gave her life in the struggle because just recently she reported about the advocacy for special women's seats. I think that was her last report. And that report was deeply passionate. I can't help it. To lose such a great colleague and Arise News is such a moment of deep grief for us. Rest in peace, Sommie Maduagwu. Yolanda?
I think my deepest pain with hearing this news is the fact that she was so young, 29, turning 30 at the end of this year, and a life full of potential and full of so much wonderful things. You know, the first time I was on this Daybreak show was with Sommie. We started on the same day for Daybreak, and it was such a happy moment for us. And we had such a great connection on air, and we did so well together. And just the day that the day that I heard that she passed, which was yesterday, the day before we were actually meant to meet for lunch, before she came to work. And so to hear this news is truly, truly devastating. I cannot imagine the pains that her family is going through. And I know that so many people in Arise just love her. The atmosphere at the office has been so somber this morning, even this early morning. There's not a single person that has not been touched by this loss. And so, Sommie, I say to you, I miss you. And rest in peace.
A very difficult moment indeed. We pray that the families and loved ones of Somtochukwu Maduagwu find the fortitude to bear this irreparable loss and the strength to carry on. To live in the hearts of those you love is not to die. Bye.
All right, well, unfortunately on this somber note, as we continue to mourn and memorialize our colleague, we have to bid you farewell for today. That's all we have time for on Daybreak. We'll be back tomorrow as Nigeria marks 65 years of independence. The theme, of course, is all hands on deck, and we'll be bringing you all of the insights from that. Until then, I'm Vimbai Mutiniri Ekbeyong.
And I'm Gbenga Ashiros. Goodbye from me.
And I'm Yolanda Robert. Goodbye.